Have you ever felt like you're living someone else's life, as if the person you show to the world isn't really who you are deep inside? You wake up, go through the motions, fulfill your duties, but something feels hollow, empty. And in the quiet moments, when all the noise finally stops, a question rises from deep within. What am I here for? This isn't a new question. 2,000 years ago, people asked the same thing. And the answers given then are just as powerful today as they were in the ancient world. In the Gospel of Thomas, one of the texts discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls, Jesus said something profound. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Think about that for a moment. Your true self, your authentic nature, isn't something you need to create or invent. It's already there, buried beneath layers of conditioning, expectations, and fear. And according to this ancient teaching, discovering it isn't optional. It's essential for your survival, your peace, your very soul. From the moment we're born, we begin learning how to fit in. Be polite, don't cry too much. Be strong, be successful, be likable. We absorb these messages like sponges, and slowly, we construct an identity designed to meet other people's expectations. Carl Jung called this the persona, the social mask we wear to navigate the world. It's not inherently bad. We need it to function in society. But the danger comes when we forget we're wearing a mask at all. When the mask becomes the only version of ourselves we know. Jesus spoke directly to this problem. In the Gospel of Matthew, he confronted the religious leaders of his time, calling them whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but full of death within. He wasn't just criticizing them. He was warning all of us about the danger of living a false life, of maintaining appearances while our inner world dies from neglect. The Essenes, the spiritual community that lived near the Dead Sea, understood this deeply. They withdrew from mainstream society not to escape life, but to discover it. They believed that true transformation required inner work, what they called making straight the path within yourself. This wasn't about perfection, it was about authenticity, about clearing away everything false so that what is real could emerge. But here's what makes this journey difficult. Discovering your true self means confronting the parts of yourself you've been taught to hide. Your anger, your fears, your desires that don't fit the image you've constructed, your weaknesses, your shame. Jung called this the shadow. Everything about yourself that you've pushed into darkness because it was unacceptable, inconvenient, or threatening to the identity you've built. And here's what's fascinating. Jesus never told people to be perfect in the way we usually think of perfection. He didn't say, pretend you have no darkness. Instead, he spent time with tax collectors, prostitutes, and sinners, the people society rejected. Why? Because he understood that wholeness doesn't come from denying your shadow. It comes from integrating it, from bringing it into the light where it can be transformed. In the Essene teachings found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's a concept called the two spirits, the spirit of light and the spirit of darkness that exist within every human being. The spiritual path wasn't about destroying one and keeping the other. It was about recognizing both, understanding their influence, and choosing consciously which one to follow in each moment. This is the same insight Jung would articulate thousands of years later. You cannot become whole by cutting off parts of yourself. You become whole by integrating them, by acknowledging them, and by transforming them through conscious awareness. So where is your true self? Where is this authentic nature that's been buried? Jesus gave a clear answer. The kingdom of God is within you. Not in a temple, not in a religious institution, not in following someone else's rules. Within you, your true self, your purpose, your connection to something greater. It's all inside, waiting to be discovered. The Essenes practiced this daily. They had rituals of purification, meditation, and prayer, but all of it was designed to turn their attention inward. They understood what modern psychology is only now rediscovering, that the answers you seek aren't out there in the world. They're in the depths of your own consciousness. Jung called this the process of individuation, becoming who you truly are by integrating all aspects of yourself. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about uncovering who you've always been beneath the conditioning. And here's what's powerful. When you discover your true self, you simultaneously discover your purpose. They're not separate. Your purpose isn't some external mission handed to you from above. It's the natural expression of who you authentically are. But what happens if you ignore this inner call? What if you continue living according to other people's expectations, wearing your mask, pushing your shadow deeper into darkness? Machiavelli, in his political writings, observed something profound about human nature. People who don't know themselves are easily manipulated. They're like ships without rudders, blown by whatever wind is strongest. They can be controlled by fear, by promises, by the opinions of others, because they have no inner anchor. This is why discovering your true self isn't just spiritual, it's practical. It's about power, not power over others, but power over your own life. The power to make decisions based on who you really are, not who you're afraid of becoming or who others want you to be. Jesus warned about this too. He said, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?" You can achieve everything society tells you to achieve, wealth, status, recognition, and still feel empty inside. Because none of it touches the real question, who am I and what am I here for? The psychological consequences of avoiding this question are severe. Depression, anxiety, a constant sense that something is missing. Jung observed that many of his patients weren't suffering from mental illness in the traditional sense. They were suffering from meaninglessness, from living inauthentic lives that violated their true nature. The Essenes would have called this spiritual death, being physically alive but dead inside, disconnected from the source of life within you. So how do you begin? How do you strip away the false and discover the true? First, you must be willing to question everything you think you know about yourself. The Essenes called this the way of preparation. Before you can discover truth, you must be willing to let go of illusions. Ask yourself, how much of what I believe about myself did I actually choose? How many of my desires are truly mine, and how many were planted there by advertising, by family expectations, by cultural conditioning? This is uncomfortable work. It's easier to keep wearing the mask, but Jesus was clear, the truth will set you free. Not comfortable platitudes, not reassuring lies. The truth, even when it's painful, even when it shatters your illusions. Second, you must turn inward. This is where prayer and meditation come in, not as religious obligations, but as tools for self-discovery. The Essenes practiced what they called communing with the angels, which modern interpretation might call connecting with the deeper aspects of consciousness, with the archetypes and symbols that speak in dreams and intuitions. Jung discovered the same thing. The unconscious mind communicates through symbols, through dreams, through patterns that repeat in your life. If you pay attention, if you learn the language, you'll discover that your psyche has been trying to guide you all along. Third, you must integrate your shadow. This means acknowledging the parts of yourself you've denied, your capacity for anger, your selfish desires, your fears and insecurities. Not to indulge them blindly, but to recognize them, to understand them, and to transform them through conscious awareness. Jesus demonstrated this through forgiveness, not just forgiving others, but the deeper work of accepting and integrating all aspects of human nature, including the parts we'd rather condemn. When you begin to do this work, something remarkable happens. The anxiety about what others think begins to fade. The desperate need for external validation loosens its grip. You start making decisions based on what feels true to you, not what feels safe or acceptable. This doesn't mean becoming selfish or ignoring others. Paradoxically, when you discover your true self, you become more capable of genuine love and service. Because you're no longer giving from a place of emptiness, trying to fill a void. You're giving from a place of fullness, from authentic compassion. Jesus lived this way. He didn't conform to religious expectations. He didn't seek approval from the authorities. He spoke truth even when it was dangerous. He showed compassion even when it was scandalous. He was free, not because he rejected all structure, but because he was anchored in his true self, in his connection to what he called the Father, the source of life itself. The Essenes understood that this kind of freedom is the ultimate goal of spiritual practice. Not to escape the world, but to live in it fully, authentically, powerfully, because you know who you are. But you're not discovering this true self in a vacuum. Jung discovered that the human psyche is shaped by universal patterns he called archetypes: the hero, the sage, the caregiver, the rebel, and many others. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're living forces within you, influencing your choices, your dreams, your life path. In the teachings of Jesus, we see these archetypes embodied: the good shepherd, the servant, the teacher, the light of the world. These aren't just titles. They're symbolic representations of aspects of consciousness that exist within every person. Your purpose often reveals itself through the archetypes that are most active in your life. Are you drawn to healing others, to teaching, to challenging injustice, to creating beauty? These aren't random preferences. They're clues to your authentic nature, to what Jung called your calling. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain texts describing different roles within the spiritual community: teachers, healers, prophets, warriors of light. Each person had a unique function, but all were valued because all were necessary. Your purpose isn't to be like everyone else. It's to discover and embody your unique expression of the divine. But let's be honest, this path isn't easy. Jesus warned his followers, "Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword." He was talking about the sword of truth that cuts through illusion, that divides the false from the true, that separates you from the comfortable lies you've been living. When you start living authentically, some people won't like it. Those who benefited from your mask, from your compliance, from your willingness to play the role they assigned you, they'll resist. They may call you selfish, or lost, or misguided. Machiavelli understood this dynamic in political terms. Change is always resisted because people fear the unknown more than they hate the familiar, even when the familiar is making them miserable. But Jesus also said, "Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." This isn't about literally dying. It's about dying to the false self, to the conditioned identity, to the mask. It's about losing the life you thought you were supposed to live so you can discover the life that's actually yours. One of the most profound insights from both Jesus and Jung is the integration of opposites. Jesus taught love for enemies, blessing those who curse you, turning the other cheek. These aren't weak gestures of submission. They're radical acts of integration, refusing to split the world into all good and all bad, recognizing that light and darkness exist together and must be held in balance. Jung called this the union of opposites, the reconciliation of conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine, light and shadow. Wholeness doesn't come from choosing one side and rejecting the other. It comes from integrating both. The Essenes practice this through their understanding of balance, recognizing that creation contains both light and darkness, and that spiritual maturity means navigating between them with wisdom, not denial. This is crucial for discovering your purpose. Your purpose isn't found in perfection, it's found in wholeness. It's found in accepting all of who you are, the noble and the base, the strong and the weak, the light and the shadow, and bringing it all into conscious alignment with truth. Here's something else the ancient teachings emphasize. Your true self exists only in the present moment. Jesus said, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself." This isn't irresponsible advice, it's a profound psychological insight. Your false self lives in the past and future, in regrets, in fantasies, in fears about what might happen, in identities built on old stories. Your true self exists only now, in this moment, in direct experience, in presence. The Essenes practiced radical presence through their daily rituals, their attention to the natural world, their awareness of breath and body. They understood that God, or truth, or reality, is encountered not in abstract theology, but in the immediate lived experience of now. Jung discovered the same thing in his work with patients. Healing happened not through endless analysis of the past, but through bringing unconscious material into the conscious present, where it could be felt, acknowledged, and integrated. Your purpose reveals itself moment by moment as you live authentically. It's not a fixed destination. It's a living, evolving expression of who you are right now. So let's make this practical. How do you actually begin this journey? First, create space for silence. The constant noise of modern life, social media, news, entertainment, other people's opinions, drowns out the quiet voice of your true self. The Essenes withdrew to the desert for this reason. You don't have to move to a cave, but you do need regular time alone, in silence, listening inward. Second, pay attention to your dreams. Jung discovered that dreams are messages from the unconscious, revealing aspects of yourself that your conscious mind ignores. Keep a journal. Write down what you dream. Look for patterns, symbols, recurring themes. Your psyche is trying to tell you something. Third, notice what angers you or triggers strong emotional reactions. These are often signs that your shadow is being activated, that something in you has been denied or repressed. Instead of immediately reacting, pause. Ask yourself, what is this showing me about myself? What part of me am I refusing to see? Fourth, question your beliefs. Jesus constantly challenged religious dogma, not because he rejected spirituality, but because he saw how rigid beliefs separate people from direct experience of truth. Ask yourself, what do I believe because I actually know it's true, and what do I believe because I was told to believe it? Fifth, experiment with living more authentically in small ways. Say what you really think in a safe conversation. Make a choice based on what you want, not what you think you should want. Notice how it feels. Notice the resistance that comes up, both internal and external. Here's a hard truth. Suffering often plays a crucial role in discovering your true self and purpose. Jesus didn't promise his followers a comfortable life. He spoke about taking up your cross, about the narrow path, about the trials that would come. Jung observed that psychological transformation often requires what he called the dark night of the soul, a period of crisis, loss, or breakdown, where the old identity can no longer hold. This isn't punishment, it's initiation. It's the death of the false self that makes room for the true self to emerge. The Essenes understood this as purification, that sometimes what looks like destruction is actually preparation, clearing away what's false so that what's real can grow. If you're in a period of suffering right now, if you're questioning everything, if the life you built no longer makes sense, this might not be the disaster it appears to be. It might be the beginning of your awakening, the first step toward discovering who you really are and what you're truly here to do. One final insight: you don't walk this path alone. Jesus gathered disciples. The Essenes formed a community. Jung engaged with other thinkers and practitioners. Even the journey inward requires connection with others who are also seeking truth. But choose your community carefully. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow, who support your authenticity, who aren't threatened when you change. Avoid those who need you to stay small, who benefit from your mask, who punish honesty. Machiavelli warned about false friends, those who praise you when you conform but abandon you when you dare to be different. True companions on this journey are rare and precious. They mirror your truth back to you. They hold space for your shadow. They celebrate your emergence into authenticity. So what is the end point of all this? What happens when you discover your true self and purpose? You become whole. Not perfect, whole. You integrate all the parts of yourself that have been scattered, denied, or repressed. You live with integrity, which literally means wholeness. Your inner truth and outer expression align. Jesus called this being born again, not in the way modern religion often interprets it, but in the original sense of undergoing a complete transformation, of becoming a new creation, while paradoxically becoming who you always were meant to be. Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming the unique individual you were meant to be, distinct from collective expectations and conditioning. The Essenes called it enlightenment, living in alignment with divine truth, with the natural order, with reality itself. And here's what they all agree on. This isn't just for you. When you discover your true self and live your authentic purpose, you become a light for others, not by preaching or proselytizing, but simply by being who you are. Your authenticity gives others permission to seek their own. Your freedom inspires others to break their own chains. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden." He wasn't talking about becoming famous or important in worldly terms. He was talking about the natural radiance that emerges when you live from your true self, a light that can't help but shine, that illuminates the darkness simply by being what it is. So here's the question you must answer. Are you ready? Are you ready to question everything you think you know about yourself? Are you ready to face your shadow, to integrate what you've denied, to let go of the mask you've been wearing? Are you ready to sit in silence and listen to the voice within that's been calling you your entire life? Are you ready to discover that your purpose isn't something you have to earn or prove, but something you simply are when you strip away everything false? The path is difficult. Jesus, Jung, the Essenes, they were all clear about that. It requires courage, honesty, and perseverance. It will cost you your illusions, your comfortable lies, and possibly some relationships that were built on your false self. But it will give you something infinitely more valuable: your life, your real life. The one that's been waiting for you beneath all the conditioning and fear. As Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, "When you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father. But if you do not know yourselves, then you live in poverty, and you are the poverty." The choice is yours. You can continue living in poverty, not material poverty, but the poverty of not knowing who you are, of living someone else's life, of dying without ever having truly lived. Or you can begin the journey home to yourself, to your true self, to your authentic purpose. The kingdom is within you. The answers you seek are already there. You don't have to become something you're not. You just have to remember who you've always been. So take the first step. Sit in silence. Ask the question. Listen to the answer. Your true self is waiting. Your purpose is calling. Will you answer?